right now it is 2-0 in the finals. Derek and the Celtics are up 2-0. They protected their home floor. As we talk about the coaches, Missoula being that, he's getting the better of Jason Kidd right now. What are you seeing as the difference so far?
I mean, they're really good. Like when you're able to shoot that many threes, and Boston, I thought had a lot of good looks early last night.
Yeah.
Like a lot of, they just weren't going in. You're like, all right, if Dallas is going to steal a game, this has got to be it. And then Drew Holiday just had an incredible game. And look, Drew ended up with what do you shoot? Like 11 for 15 from the field or something like that.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to talk about Drew now. And good, like talk about him now because he deserves it. But he mostly deserves it for what he does defensively. And when he has one of these games offensively where he's just on fire, now we have an excuse to talk about him, but he has been just incredible here over the last couple of weeks, especially over these two games. His defense really helps separate the Celtics from other teams, and especially in this matchup. And then we have a game like last night where he 26 points, 1 turnover,
like
dominating the glass.
Yeah, like 8 layups in the first two quarters. He was just doing his normal Drew stuff where he gets to the paint, wrong foot type of layup, runner over his left shoulder, but he just finds a way, man.
It's point of attack defense, depth of Boston. You've got Boston having a 2-0 lead, and I think Tatum has more shots than points.
I was watching a video, speaking of Drew, where somebody had put it on there. It was an offseason workout, and he was just defending his brother Aaron, an overseas player, some of the people that they were training with. And he's like, this guy's a maniac. Everybody else is working on the offense. He's in there doing his defensive drills and principles in the offseason. And now we're seeing, as you said, we're seeing it all play out right now in real time as they take a 2-0 series lead.
Yeah. And again, not to keep hammering it's about personnel thing, but I think our conversation we had last week about the downside of a 2-star approach, especially as it pertains to the Sixers, that thesis is playing out in the finals where Boston's high-end depth is better, right? Like, look, we sang the praises of the Mavericks for getting guys like PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford at the deadline and adding to their 2 stars and fleshing this team out. But Boston's top 6 is just better. Like they have higher quality players in those spots. And the variance has swung back to, okay, PJ Washington not shooting as well from 3, Derek Jones Jr. not shooting well from 3, and you need Kyrie to help Luka set that baseline. And Kyrie's not been good. Like he's shot really poorly the first 2 games of the series. You just have no chance unless guys who are career below average to average-ish shooters shoot above the number on the back of the baseball card. And that's the biggest difference in the series is there's Dallas's second star is not doing anything, whereas Boston has so much depth in high-end talent that Jason Tatum doesn't even have to shoot well, and they win in a blowout in game 1, and they won, I'd say, relatively comfortably in game 2. It was fairly close throughout, but there was never really a point in the second half where Dallas was like, other than the late run they went on, Boston overtook them, and it just felt like, yeah, this feels inevitable.
And when they had that run, the Celtics did to really close it out, and it was right around the 4-minute mark. They went on a big-time run, and at that point, they pushed it to double digits, and you were like, all right, this one is over.
Yeah, and look, like
scary good.
It's been the thing to envy about the Celtics has been their ability to change over people at the leadership positions and continue to dominate at the managerial level, right? Like Danny Ainge, longtime executive viewed as one of the top guys in the league, right? Like I think he's always been in that kind of top 5 GMs, whatever conversation. So he leaves having, set up the team with the 2 J's and Brad Stevens is the coach. And then it's like, okay, well, Brad Stevens, who at the time, there were people who were like, would you take Brad Stevens over like all the players in the league? He leaves the coaching seat, goes to the front office. Oh, by the way, he's now one of the best executives in the league. Yep. Like the team building stuff he's done since taking over has been great, has nailed these like the Derek White move, the Porzingis trade obviously was a big risk, right? Like Marcus Smart was this foundational leadership player, and he's like, I don't care. I'm going to make this team better. I'm going to take my shot. Worked great. And then they have Ime Udoka, who obviously had the off-court stuff that got him fired, but they had great success under him year one. He leaves, and it's like, well, what do they do now? They promote an assistant, and now they're winning 64 games, and they're about to win a
head
title.
coach in the
So
pros.
they cycle through these people, and they're still set up to continue. So I mean, I hate to say it on a Sixers show because it is the Celtics, but they are one of the best run organizations in the league easily. You could easily make the case they're number one over the time period that Joel has been in the league for.
So are you saying that they wouldn't have had a collaborative front office in Boston?
Or a guy making burner accounts to tweet disparaging remarks about the player who is now the best player on the team?
When they hired Brian, they started off with a list of 75 candidates. They only interviewed 2, but they made an Excel spreadsheet. They did their due diligence. Just happened to be Brian.
Yeah, it's look, it's all credit to Boston. And obviously there are a lot of institutional figures there at different levels. Mike Zarin has been there for basically all this, right? And there were rumors right around, or I know they approached him when they hired Hinkie, right? Like he was someone that they talked to, and that was a potential. Yep. So there are definitely some people who have been there as they shuffle names in and out in the lead positions. But yeah, that's the big part of it. It's just it hasn't even been consistent management, right? They turned it over, and it's still a machine. And that's supposed to be like consistency is the key to success in a lot of these. They haven't even needed it.
Yeah. I mean, friend of the pod, Danny LaRue, always says ownership is the biggest competitive advantage in professional sports.